So here we have transmission fluid has been drained. On these, much to my surprise, there is a little baby filter, inline filter, as well as the inside one, internal one. So we're going to take the hose off the top, take the hose off the bottom, get it out here, get this new one in place, and away we go. Okay, Squire, what do we got going on here?
So after you take your air box off and stuff, right out of the top of the transfusion, you get some cooler lines right here, I assume. And then you see this little hose right here goes down the little, you can hear me hitting it, the filter right there.
So if we get the top here, and we're gonna put the young Squire underneath to crawl for the bottom. Old man's tired of crawling on the ground today.
I think he really wants to.
I don't think he really wants to. We'll go from there. Okay. We are going to attempt to loosen the clamp, loosen the hose.
We already got the clamp off.
Give her a wiggle, give her a pull. I see movement. We get past the barb and we're good. And that's it.
Just a little bit.
Okay, halfway there. Next, in keeping with our super clean testing, we went through some body work on here earlier, if you recall that video. Link to the playlist at the end of this. And we didn't have all of our zip ties in place all the way. So driving down the road for a week or so, the tire actually rubbed a hole through the inner fender. So we're gonna clean that with some super clean. She's dripping on there right now. And we have a professional Minnesota is Rust fix. Professional Minnesota is Rust fix. Gorilla tape will fix that real good. Kind of like when we hit a deer and we needed some duct tape action just to fix the bottom half of the airbox. That's worked for a year, no complaints. We're going to finish cleaning that the rest of the way. Get some tape on there after we get the rest of that filter taken care of. One thing at a time. And yet another test of super clean. Somebody spilled a little transmission fluid on the cement. We're gonna give it a spray, let it soak, and it's still dripping. We're gonna give it a spray, let it soak while we finish our job. Oh yeah.
Do you have one that's bent more aggressive hook?
We will check. More than a 90?
Yeah, more than a 90.
No. I got this one's a little bit longer, 90, or is it the same?
That's a little longer.
Okay. So while we finish getting the filter out, we're gonna check on the rotor quick. Even Japanese rotors will work on 70-year-old equipment. How old did you say this is? Over 50. So some from the 60s or 70s for sure. Are you going to mark that the oil's been changed one more time since 1983? I haven't done that yet. Okay, we'll have to mark. There it goes. Okay. Back over to here. Full service shop. Doesn't matter. You don't need to oil your fingers, oil your knuckles. If girls don't find you handsome, at least they'll find you handy. Right, kid?
I'm beautiful though, so.
He's beautiful. You're beautiful. Okay, no more singing. So we're down here somewhere. Get some camera action in there. There you go, that's the spot. Is that pop free?
No, not quite yet.
Okay, we almost got it. Almost. So super quick, you want to know the part number for, I believe it's 2013 and 14 are the same. 2015 go to a CVT. That's one reason I bought this one instead of a little bit newer, is I know the 5-speed is pretty indestructible. Dump the fluid out every now and then and you're good to go. We bought this at just over 30,000. Dumped the fluid then, it still looked nice. Dumped it now. Now we're just over about 110. Probably could have done it before, but it still looked kind of cherry colored. Still, it wasn't super dark. So the plug had just a little bit of debris on it, debris. There's a part number for the filter. Finally got it out. We're gonna put the new one in, swap the hoses over, and get her right back where she came from. As we work to install the bracketry. Tiny hands work better than monkey mitts. Oh, we're trapped.
Help me.
We're trapped in the maze of hair. Oh, help me. There we go. We're getting there. Okay. So we added about 2.5 quarts, a little over, of transmission fluid. And we'll go through and start it, run it through the gears, and see what it does after that. We got the filter, all the lines connected, all that good stuff. We're out of time for tonight. We'll get the rotors back on. We got one more still cranking over there. No air box filter. We need a new air filter though. We got to take care of that tomorrow. So we will see you soon. Woo-hoo. Next morning, O'Reilly, top of the line MicroGuard, and cheapest pads that had hardware. Yeah, I think we should have replaced the filter a while ago, but we got there. Rotors are turned. We got that done. We're gonna go through, get the rotors back on, caliper brackets on, and take the calipers off. So we got that going on. Tomorrow, we are out of oxygen. Gotta bring that guy back, get that swapped out, and get the wheels and tires back on, air box back together, and we should be good. Hopefully. Rotors have been turned. Hardly any came off, just nice and smooth enough. So now we got pads somewhere. So caliper bracket. Caliper bracket bolts are, what size are those? 19. Caliper itself, those are 14. So we cracked those loose already.
Instead of spinning it out by hand, you could also use your Milwaukee ratchet.
Good. Down forever. Okay, so then that typically will come off.
You can set it up on top of.
We inspect the crustiness there. That looks good. So we'll set that. Minnesota's Rusty Crusty. If that'll sit there for now, we'll do that.
I would flip it around the other way so it's more stable.
Flip it around. Well, this has the least amount of pressure on anything, so that'll stay. If not, we can hook it in place too, just for fun, but that should stay right there. Okay, pads. That's an extreme close-up. We got some light here that kind of short of sees. So these little spring guys help us keep the pads from weebling and wobbling. Like I said, these bolts we already loosened. So we'll take those guys out. And slide that off. So you can see on a traditional pad, your inside one will wear a little bit more than your outside one.
It almost looks reversed on this. Wait, no, never mind.
They look pretty close. They look pretty even. Maybe a little bit more on the inside. Dual piston brakes, race car things, right?
It's not like the Willwood, like 6 pistons or whatever.
Yep.
You know, hat performance.
So we will get those popped apart and get the new ones in.
You can also do this by just leaving the bracket in too if you don't want to have to worry about losing those bolts. Nice thing is, if you're ready to take your lug nuts off, you have the same size already for those. So he's probably looking for a in those pliers at the moment. Take the springy dingy thingies.
So we got these little anti-chatter guys. Get one side loose. One side loose.
Nylon straps.
That's,
oh wait.
That's the. Yeah, we had to do some repair right there. Thank you, Minnesota Deer.
You know, professional. You know, it's like blackout edition or whatever.
Yep.
These pads are thick.
So we got lots of little spring mechanisms to hold in place from the hardware. They look good still, so we're not gonna mess around with those too much. And let me actually wash my hands first before I try to push that in. We want to try to keep the pad nice and clean.
Just don't mind all those fingerprints on there.
Yeah. So, if my dad were here, he would absolutely save these pads because they're still good. With that being said, we have found using Permatex brake parts lubricant, put that up on the hardware, and that works really well to keep these nice and lube. And then we also like to do the Danger.
Fantastic.
We'll do it on the inside where the hub goes to the rotor, and then we'll do where the rotor goes to the wheel too, just to keep things easy to get off because Minnesota is rust. Next, we've got our little springy dinghies.
There's some little holes in the pads.
And they go like that. And you wait for it to shoot across the room. There. So that keeps them away from the rotors a little bit and it keeps them nice and kind of firm. And down here and down there ish. There we go. Okay, next we have to compress the caliper pistons back into the caliper.
So we just put a brake pad on it, and then brake pad over in between that, so we're not pressing on the edge of the piston. Just use that as like a bridge in between the pistons, and then we just use a steel C-clamp. You can buy fancy dancy little like tools that kind of look like caulking guns.
Clean these a little bit.
So yeah,
You want to make sure your kind of dust seals are moving pretty free and pretty open. They look pretty good. We'll put old pad in. C-clamp, you want to make sure you're on a flat piece on the back so you're not crushing anything. And sometimes you got to do each at once. So they typically go in pretty easy.
so now Dad will just repeat that on the other one, and you will get them about flush, or just, you don't want to do them too much, you just want to get them enough so that you can get it over the pads. So now I'm gonna go double check. I would tighten their bolts over here. I already even cleaned the rotor. The stove's running. And you know, from ways away, you can still see that. Super clean. Oh wait, there's some there. I don't think that's super clean, but Minnesota's rust. Minnesota rust. Dun-dun-dun. So what are you doing right now?
So, I'm gonna make sure rotors are clean. So wash the insides, wash the outsides. So you can see our lube on our hardware to make sure our pads, everything are good. And then you can see we do anti-seize between the rotor and the hub spindle, and we do anti-seize where the wheel goes onto. Looks messy, it looks scoopy, but that's how you make sure it stays off again. You can get it off again when you get a flat tire and the rust and crust is there. Our strut boot is
Blown out on both sides.
blown out on both sides, but the strut feels good. It's not oily at all, nice and dry, so we'll leave that for now. Everything else is tight on this. 110,000 miles, and nothing's really wore out in the front yet. But give it some time, and it will.
You gotta make sure you put the transfusion in neutral, otherwise you won't be able to spin it.
Yep.
Don't forget your wheel chock that you found on the side of the road. Most important. And your fucking your tires. This wheel looks a little bit dirty. I guess we might have to clean it super well.
So, that's all we got for now.